Make your life a masterpiece. Imagine no limitations on what you can be, have, or do. Hello and welcome to Jamaica Magazine. It's Tuesday, the 30th day of July. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. Coming up in today's show, it's World Day Against Trafficking in Persons, and we'll hear how a particular government task force is leading the fight in Jamaica. But first, let's take our daily news right after this break.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, July 30, 2024. As parts of the country continue to rebuild from Hurricane Beryl, the government is encouraging the use of hurricane straps during roof construction. Hurricane straps are metal connectors that are installed during the construction of roofs to minimize the risk of being blown off during extreme weather events. Minister of Local Government and Community Development Desmond McKenzie sensitized citizens on the benefits and importance of using hurricane straps recently. He was speaking at the Hurricane Roof Strap Expo held in St. Elizabeth on Friday.
We're giving away hurricane straps today to anybody who wants it. And we're going to be intensifying the program. People must understand that Jamaica is in the top disaster-prone countries in the world. We are prone to earthquakes, hurricane, flooding, land slippage, and drought. So Jamaicans must become more disaster conscious of where we live, how we build, and the risk that we take during this time.
At the same event in St. Elizabeth, Commanding Officer for the Division, Superintendent Coleridge Minto, reported an overall reduction of major crimes in the parish by 32%.
Shootings are down 12%, robberies down 27%, aggravated assault down 33%, break-ins are down 52%, rape we're at the same period we were last year. Murders were up by 4 compared to the corresponding period.
Superintendent Minto says despite the fact 2 of the 11 police stations are currently without electricity, the officers remain vigilant.
The officers have been working diligently, even under these circumstances, without the electricity, to maintain law and order. They still show up for work. They are still engaging in their patrols. They're still responding to calls for service.
The new social housing program, NSHP, is now operating at a capacity to produce and deliver multiple houses. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says time has been spent to develop the necessary framework, which is now operating at greater efficiency. While in Clarendon on Friday to hand over 4 units, Mr. Holness revealed that 246 houses had so far been delivered.
What is the objective? The objective is to reach the estimated 6,000 households in Jamaica that live in the worst of the worst shelter conditions. So we are looking at assisting persons who are not able to assist themselves out of the worst housing conditions.
Mr. Holness says the social profile includes persons living in indigent circumstances, the elderly, and those who have been left homeless by virtue of fire or other circumstances. Such is the case for fire victim and mother of 3, Lorna Samuels, who is the beneficiary of a 2-bedroom unit valued at $5.4 million.
One of my cousins is like mentally ill, so he just get crazy and burn the house down. And I was really devastated at that time, you know, and I'm really glad I'll get an next house. I'm grateful.
The Ministry of Labour and Social Security is undertaking a new approach to the orientation of recruits under the Farm Work Program. The ministry is receiving support from the Heart NSTA Trust to improve areas of the Overseas Employment Program. Under a Memorandum of Understanding MOU signed on Friday, the agency and the ministry will seek to revamp the selection and orientation processes for better employability and adaptability. Portfolio Minister Pernell Charles Jr. says the agreement is set to enhance Jamaica's labor market by equipping workers with essential skills for success locally and globally.
With this MOU, we are going to change the mindset and the attitude. We are going to provide more skills training, and we are going to expose to more Jamaicans through this collaboration the opportunities available.
Managing Director of the Heart and STA Trust, Dr. Tanisha Ingleton, says the MOU represents a significant milestone to create a more skilled, innovative, adaptable, and empowered workforce.
Our collaboration is rooted in the fundamental understanding that human capital is the cornerstone of economic development. We cannot have economic development without the skills, talents, competencies, and well-being of the human being.
The MOU will focus on areas such as training, assessment, certification of services, and exchanging labor market expertise. It will also look at the sharing of information, work-based learning experience, and technical assistance. And finally, the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries has welcomed a partnership with Hypro to support the sector following the devastation caused by Hurricane Beryl. The company donated $5 million worth of agricultural inputs to the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA. The donation includes a range of essential items, such as fertilizers, seeds, chemicals, and feeds for pig, chicken, and goat. Portfolio Minister Floyd Green has commended Hypro for its generosity and highlights the importance of the support, particularly for poultry farmers who were among the hardest hit.
I really want to start by just applauding Hypro for not waiting to do the whistles and bells before going out there to respond to the need of our farmers.
Giving a further update on the impact of the hurricane, Minister Green says the estimated damage has increased to $6.5 billion. Meanwhile, Vice President of Hypro Division, Colonel Jamie Ogilvie, provided details on the company's relief efforts.
Since the 8th of July, we've distributed over 140,000 baby chicks to our small chicken farmers right across the island, not just in areas impacted. Majority of it has gone to areas that were impacted significantly. But we recognize that from a food independence standpoint, it is important that we minimize the loss of production as much as possible.
The Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries is encouraging corporate Jamaica to support the recovery process of the sector. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
Whatever you do, don't be this guy. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your lifeguard speaking. For your safety and that of those around you, please listen carefully to what I'm going to say next. Whenever possible, swim at a beach with a lifeguard on duty or where signs indicate that swimming is safe. 2. This should probably be number 1, but learn how to swim. 3. Stay in the designated swimming area. 4. Read and follow all guidelines and never swim alone. 5. If you fall into difficulty, raise your hand in the air and call for help. 6. Pay attention to local weather conditions and forecasts. 7. If you observe someone in distress, tell a lifeguard, or if you don't see one, phone 119 or 110 and request a Coast Guard. And before you swim off with this information, my friend Bernard has another tip for you.
Everywhere you go, and you see a fishing vessel like those small ones up there in the harbour. Anywhere you go and see those small vessels, that's the safest area to swim.
It's that time again when we review some of the important decisions taken at the office of the Prime Minister in the past week. Take a look.
Encouraging a sense of civic pride was one of Prime Minister Andrew Holness's tasks last week. At the launch of the National Cleanup Campaign in Portmore St. Catherine, he reiterated the need for citizens to practice proper waste disposal. The effect of this, he insisted, had a serious impact on climate change and natural disasters.
When you drive along the roads coming in and you see all the plastic bottles strewn along the roadway, how did it get there? Somebody in the car, wind on the window, throw it out. Somebody walking, drinking the water, drop it there. We cannot continue like that as a people. When it gets into the earthen drains, that prevents the water from moving through. So it's not just the trees that block the drain, it is the plastics.
Prime Minister Holness also emphasized the need for people to pay serious attention to global changes that are affecting our local environment.
Pay attention to the hotter times that you are experiencing on a daily basis. You don't have to take my word for it. All of you have phones. Instead of going on the SUS channels, go on Google and look at the hottest times that are being experienced in the last 5 years. Look at the sea level rise that is occurring and areas that are at risk of being flooded out. Climate change.
On to security matters, Prime Minister Holness was at the contract signing for the construction of a fit-for-purpose divisional headquarters for the police in St. Catherine North. It is being executed under the Ministry of National Security's Project Rebuild, Overhaul and Construct ROC initiative. As part of the transformation process, Mr. Holness says billions of dollars are being invested in the Jamaica Constabulary Force over the next 3 years in technology, vehicles and infrastructure.
We expect to spend $19.7 billion in the next 3 years on new stations. Of course, that figure is huge because that 19.7 would include the massive station in Westmoreland, this one, and specialized ops, the C5 Center, which I'll speak about a little bit, all kinds of new exciting things that will, if you think that the police force has transformed now, wait until you see it in the next 3 years.
Mr. Holness points out that capital expenditure for the JCF since 2016 amount to $14.4 billion. Meanwhile, having established a National Security Council to monitor the broad approach to security, Mr. Holness says a National Security Act will be presented shortly.
And that looks at security from a comprehensive point of view. So we look at security from customs. We look at security from the anti-corruption perspective. We look at security from cyber. We look at security from telecommunications. We look at security from finance. All elements that could threaten the safety and security of the state.
The Prime Minister insists that no society can grow and prosper without established law and order, adding that the JCF is the first and last bulwark in ensuring the rule of law and public order in Jamaica.
Without the JCF, you're looking at chaos. So what we must all do as citizens of Jamaica is invest in the JCF. The men and women of the JCF were not imported. They were not recruited from abroad. They are from your communities. And every day they put their lives on the line for your safety and security.
The Prime Minister also used the opportunity to offer deep and sincere condolences to the family and colleagues of Sergeant Kevin Main, who was fatally shot in the line of duty at the Halfway Tree Police Station in St. Andrew on July 22. The government last week exercised compassion for motorists offering a reprieve at the toll for the Maypen to Williamsfield leg of Highway 2000 until August 17. This is to further support persons affected by Hurricane Beryl and facilitate a smoother transition for commuters and businesses that rely on the highway. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the delay in applying the toll rate will allow critical resources and attention to be directed to communities in the southern parishes which were hardest hit and ensure they receive the necessary support to rebuild and recover. As the week drew to a close, Prime Minister Andrew Holness journeyed to northwestern Clarendon, where he handed over 4 homes under the new social housing program. The number of houses delivered now stands at 246.
We go through any terrain, any weather, climb up any hill, make our way down into any valley to deliver the houses. We build houses all over Jamaica in all conditions. And it is all for the benefit of the people of Jamaica.
I thank each and every single one that helps me that I can live freely in my home.
Prime Minister Holness also met with the National Festival Queen finalists and attended the Governor-General's reception to mark the 62nd anniversary of our independence on the lawns of King's House.
I don't have a glass in my hand, but I am raising a toast to the resilience of an independent people, a strong people, little but with talawa.
Over at the Grace Missionary Church on Sunday, Mr. Holness read one of the scriptures for the day. He was attending the National Emancipation and Independence Thanksgiving Church service. A special offering was collected by the Red Cross for victims of Hurricane Beryl.
You're my brother, you're my sister, so take me by the hand. Together we will work until he comes.
And that's it for Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the news stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Just because some of us came through the hurricane with our roofs doesn't mean we're all in good shape.
We are now in the hurricane season, so as we stay prepared, here is some important information to help you prepare for whatever storm blows your way.
Please go out and check your roofs, because what I saw in St. Elizabeth tells me that even the best looking roofs are not altogether sound. Please check on your nails that hold down the sheeting. Please check on the lats that hold the sheeting and the lats to the rafters. Please check on your wall plates. Check on your windows for vibrations and stability. Check the roof for vibrations and stability. That is a quick stopgap check and firm up everything, but with screws, not nails. Nails tend to split wood and create a gap where you could have had a bond. Go on your rooftops now.
It's now time to get into the important issue of human trafficking, and the government task force working hard to reduce its occurrence, protect victims, and punish perpetrators.
sometimes when persons hear trafficking, they think about sexual exploitation.
But it's much broader than that. It also involves persons being forced into labor, marriages, begging, and domestic servitude, among other acts. Human trafficking can affect anyone, regardless of gender or socioeconomic background. Any boy or girl, woman or man can be a victim of human trafficking. Manager of the Trafficking in Persons Secretariat, Shanae Russell Robinson, says in Jamaica, the two common forms of trafficking are forced labor and sex trafficking, with children being the primary victims.
Our victim mainly, sadly so, has been mostly children, meaning persons under the age of 18 years old, has been our main victims of trafficking in persons in Jamaica, as well as most of our victims are local persons, and perhaps a little over 60% are locals, and the rest is international or non-national victims.
The Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, says it has taken note of a worrying trend where a family member, parent, or guardian is the trafficker or the one who sells a child to a third-party trafficker. The crime, known as familial trafficking, involves primarily maternal figures, and based on evidence, most local cases of this type of human trafficking involve sexual exploitation.
Another trend that we are seeing, it's developing, is that women who are supposed to be the parents of or the guardians of these children are the ones who are seemingly seeking to exploit them.
The Ministry of National Security, through the National Task Force Against Trafficking in Persons, has been raising awareness of these activities as part of efforts to curtail human trafficking in the country and sensitize the public about what the crime looks like.
The nature of human trafficking is that it continues to evolve, and it is not something that is easily, the concept of it is not easily grasped. But the basic knowledge of human trafficking, persons tend to believe that certain activities are acceptable, and because of this, they do not report. Persons tend to believe that human trafficking must involve transportation.
The Ministry of National Security has been seeing success in its fight against human trafficking. Ms. Russell Robinson says over 100 victims have been rescued since 2010. In addition, 8 traffickers were convicted within the courts. Judges have also been trained in the laws and procedures of the Trafficking in Persons Prevention, Suppression and Punishment Act.
The Act was also amended in 2013, 2018, and just recently, 2021. So these are measures that we have been put in place to ensure that Jamaica is aligned with international best practices and to ensure that we are keeping abreast of the changing times, because traffickers are also constantly evolving their methods.
Ms. Russell Robinson says while the mandate of the task force is to catch perpetrators, the focus is also to protect victims of trafficking, as well as carry out measures to reduce such incidents locally. A critical aspect of the NATFATIP's mandate is the reintegration of victims into society. The support is a priority based on the psychological impact of the ordeal on victims.
After you've come out of a life of trafficking in persons, you are devastated, you are traumatized, and you will need the assistance of persons as well as your family members and government and other stakeholders to assist you in getting back to a normal life.
Systems in place to offer assistance include a government-operated shelter for victims of trafficking, a reintegration program, assistance with educational expenses and job opportunities, as well as training and other extracurricular skills. There is also assistance with immigration documents such as passport and other forms of ID if the victim is a non-national. This is in addition to psychosocial counseling by the Victim Services Division of the Ministry of Justice and the Child Protection and Family Services Agency.
This is long-term counseling, so it's not just counseling for a short term, because some victims, they suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder and a whole host of other medical conditions. So we offer those services to help them to cope within society. And most importantly, depending on the circumstances that would have led them into a life of trafficking, we want to ensure that we prevent them from getting back into those circumstances.
Ms. Russell Robinson says survivors are key stakeholders in the fight against human trafficking. Their experiences, she says, play a critical role in establishing effective measures to prevent the crime, as well as to identify and rescue victims and provide the support needed for their rehabilitation.
It's best to get first-hand information from victims on how we can assist them and if our guidelines and policies in place are up to standard and efficient to assist victims.
With all hands on deck, we can fight human trafficking.
Please do your due diligence. Always exercise care and caution when you're conducting your business. Be wise, open your eyes, spot them, stop them, and report them.
If you suspect or know that someone is being trafficked, or if you are a victim of human trafficking, call the nearest police station or the police emergency numbers 311, 811, or 119 and make a report. You may also send an email to tip.ocid@jcf.gov.jm or call the Counterterrorism and Organized Crime CTOC at 876-967-1389.
Do your part to prevent mosquito breeding. Mosquitoes will breed in any container that holds water.
Tightly cover water storage containers such as drums, barrels, buckets and tanks. If this cannot be done, pour cooking oil on the water surface. Punch holes in all tins, plastics and beverage boxes to prevent the collection of water before disposal. Cover all tires or fill with dirt to prevent water collection. Scrub all vases once per week to remove mosquito eggs. Use mosquito repellents to protect yourself from mosquito bites. Dispose of garbage properly by placing in plastic bags and securing properly to prevent water collection.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
And that's it for today's edition of Jamaica Magazine. Remember, if you cannot do great things, do small things in a great way. Do join us again tomorrow for another informative show. Remember to visit our website, gis.gov.jm, for more news you can use. On behalf of the entire team here at the GIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Stay safe.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.